Hello, everybody. My name is Wes Prankard, and I'm a 14-year-old philanthropist. It all started 3 years ago when my dad showed me pictures of this place called Attawapiskat. He had just gotten back from a trip, and he came back with tons of stories and pictures. And the pictures that he was showing me were kids who had no school, kids who had no running water, and kids who had no electricity. But one big thing that shocked me so much were that these kids lived in Ontario. And he told me all this stuff, and it was just too, excuse me, crazy for me to believe, because I thought that Canada was this perfect country where everything was perfectly fine. One of the pictures that he had showed me was of a tent house. Basically, it's a wooden frame with a tarp over it, and people live in that up north in the winter. So I wanted to kind of feel what I saw in that picture, so during my March break, I camped out for 24 hours trying to raise a little bit of money and awareness. It got really big, totally unexpectedly, and I was able to raise 24,000 pounds of food and clothing supplies and $6,000. Air Quebec, which is the organization that flies you to Attawapiskat since it's a flying community, had offered me a free ride. Of course I took it, and soon enough I was on my way to Attawapiskat. When I was there, I met a really good friend of mine now. His name is Rob, and he helped me realize that they did not have a playground. And this was really, really shocking to me, because in Niagara there are 55 and they did not even have one. So it became my goal to bring at least a little hope where there was literally none, and to bring a little equality where there was literally none. My goal became to build a playground in Attawapiskat. I had promised them, without knowing, that it cost $100,000, that I would build it the next year. And so it took a lot of work and tons of fundraising. I entered tons of contests. I camped out again, just did all this crazy stuff. And in a year, I'm happy to say that I was able to build the playground. During the grand opening, seeing the kids' faces, how happy they were running towards the playground, some of the parents even crying tears of joy, saying that they did not have that as a child, made all the work totally worth it. The playground was built August 20th, 2010. But I have a couple more really important dates for you that I'd like to share. Our first date is March 1955. Then May 2010 and October 2012. I want you to remember these dates because on each one, history was created. So, our first date, March 1955. A girl named Claudette Colvin refused to leave her seat on the bus. You see, back then, in the segregated South, if there was a black person in the front of the bus and a white person needed the seat, the black person was forcibly removed. But Claudette refused because she wanted equality. And because she wanted equality, she was arrested. Then, her teacher, Rosa Parks, soon did the same thing. And they say that Rosa Parks started the civil rights movement. Our next date, May 2010. A girl named Shannon Ku Stashin died in a horrible car crash, but she left a legacy. Her story starts 22 years before she was born, when the school in Attawapiskat had a diesel spill. 100,000 liters of diesel fuel spilled under the school, and kids were going to school getting sick, getting nosebleeds, and sometimes even fainting in class. The parents did not want to choose for their kids to either be healthy or have an education. So they went on protest. And I guess the protest kind of worked. The government tore down the school, put portables on top of the contaminated land, and said, "We will build you a new school soon." But that was 12 years ago. And Shannon Ku Stashin, she grew up in the portables. And on their grade 8 field trip where they come to Niagara Falls in Toronto, she said, "No, I'm going to go to Ottawa and I'm going to fight for a real school." Her trip in Ottawa didn't go so well, and nobody really listened. So when she got home, she started writing letters to the government saying Attawapiskat deserves a real school. Then soon enough, her whole school started writing these letters. And then kids from all over Canada were writing letters to the government saying Attawapiskat deserves a real school. And October 2012. Here we are. We see injustice every day. But what can we do? There are so much issues. How can I make a difference? Well, you can do it one starfish at a time. See, there's a man walking along the beach, and in the distance he sees what looks like a dancing figure because the night before there had been a huge storm, so thousands of starfish were washed up upon the shore. So as he gets closer, it's not a dancing figure, it's a little boy picking up these starfish and throwing them in the water. So the man walks to the boy and he asks, "Why are you doing this?" And the boy says, "Well, if I don't, they'll all die." And the man says, "Well, look, there are thousands upon thousands of starfish. You can't possibly make a difference." The boy picked up a starfish, he threw it in the water and said, "I just made a difference to that one." Now please remember May 1955, May 2010, and October 2012. October 2012 being the day that you changed the world. Thank you guys very much.